You see a once bright mural towering above you. The signage has peeled off over the years, but you can still make out Feld Electrical R&D. A slogan used to intertwine with the loops a long time ago. Now, only a shadow of peeled letters remains. It says, "Tomorrow is just a whisper away." Above the mural, a collapsed roof, broken windows set in walls that are cracking and will soon also fall, and the coastal breeze rustling and sighing in the remains of the edifice. Feld Electrical. How ironic. All these dark rooms. Feld Electrical, you only know them as a small company that makes ink cartridges. Looks like they used to be big. There's something in the wind. Sometimes the only way to go forward is to fail first.
In there? She could. Or she could be in the identical room over there, or in that boat shack, in that church tower maybe.
Why single out this one building? Even though you're sure you succeeded, all is quiet. There is no cold hand brushing against your forehead, no rustle in the reeds. The wind has died down. The ruin in front of you is silent as a tomb. Trying to talk to the wind, the city, whatever you thought would happen, did not. And now you're just standing there with your hands fallen to your side. Is trying to talk to the city something you've done before? Is it in your secret repertoire? A trick for when you're out of ideas? A prayer of sorts? To Revachon?
How do we? I was really hoping she'd be in the village. Okay. She's probably north of the village, and this place is a peninsula. We've already talked to the cryptozoologists. Working with them might give us a good excuse to run around, give us some structure. And then there's the church. If I were a murder suspect, I would not hide in the most prominent building here. But who knows? Maybe she's reckless.
Or spiritual. She could be looking for refuge.
Anyway, we do it the old-fashioned way, sector by sector. Go over the whole peninsula, ask the locals, enter the places where we can enter first, like we did in the village. Then, if we're desperate, we can look where we can't enter. Bunkers, storm drainage, this place. I'm sure it won't come to that.
Walk the coast, the old boardwalk, the reeds. You can always come back here and talk to the wind again. Look where it already got you. An adventure awaits. An adventure on the windswept urban coast. Buckle up and raise your collar. This search is going to be wet and cold. Suddenly, there's a sigh, carried on the molecules around you, moving, flowing from high pressure to low pressure, like that of a woman emptying her lungs. She wraps the collapsing stone box in front of you in her breath, flowing through it, in through the collapsed roof, flowing down a concrete staircase to the basement, sweeping away footprints in the dust on the stairs, and then the beach below the boardwalk, its winding tunnels, a whisper away.
She's down there.
Okay, why? So, how do we get in there? The doors were on the collapsed side of this building. They're gone, basically.
Finally, my time to shine.
Perhaps you can climb them. We are not climbing anything. I'm 43 years old, and I plan to live to see 70.
There has to be a way to use brute force. Climbing sounds unsafe. Brute force is safe. Look around and find something to break if the ladder fails. An old pipe peeks out from beneath the rotten boards of the boardwalk. Could this be an alternative path into the Feld building? A building like this must have multiple doors serving various functions. Perhaps a basement access. Your eyes slowly begin to adjust to the darkness inside the drainage pipe. The lieutenant looks over your shoulder.
Given that this isn't a martial arts thriller, it's highly unlikely. and not without risk to our health either. However, the pipe suggests there may be an entrance to the basement around.
The lieutenant's face lights up. He doesn't usually notice these little things.
And it's right here, a maintenance door.
It's jammed shut. The subtle approach isn't going to work on this one. Oh yeah, big boy time. This needs you to put your back into it. The metal doors are heavy and the flaking rust hurts your palms. But together with the lieutenant, you manage to slide them open just enough to squeeze in.
Good work. Shall we?
A rusty ladder leads to the rooftop. Some of the rungs are missing.
Yeah, that doesn't look good at all.
The distances between the remaining rungs are rather wide. You'd have to use the mounting brackets. However, they seem corroded and the peeling rust is razor sharp. In addition, the first rung is going to be tough to reach. It's what, 3 meters above the ground? And you're 180? Okay, but still, the roof is collapsing and the wind gets pretty brutal up there. Dismounting from the ladder is going to be hard. Perhaps if you were to not climb the ladder. Instead, what if you were to do something more subtle? What if you were to reconceptualize climbing the ladder? Yes, climbing it would be too expensive. The animations your body needs to make interacting with the ladder are beyond your capabilities at this moment in your career. Astral projection. Be open-minded about this. Yeah, because falling from that height seems, well, splat. So don't do that. Just,
Teleportation is not a thing.
Even if it isn't, no one told you.
This really has nothing to do with adventure. We are dealing with basic physics here. Oh yes, it could hurt. A lot.
He is restraining himself from using a parental tone with you right now. On second thought, maybe teleportation isn't a thing, because you're just standing there squeezing your buttocks and nothing is happening.
You're not. Please, don't try to climb the building. We'll get in another way.
The rusty ladder leads to the rooftop. All you need to do is close your eyes and concentrate. Darkness enfolds you. You can feel the distance between the bench and the first rung of the ladder. All you need to is zoot, zap, pow, crinkle. It's like magic. You feel yourself disappear, your atoms fading out of existence.
Oh my god, I can't believe it.
Bam! You find yourself on the roof, having mastered the art of physical displacement.
You know, for the record, you didn't teleport there. You just climbed the ladder with your eyes closed.
The wind at the top of the building starts howling loudly, blowing away the lieutenant's voice. Faintly you hear.
Never mind. Find a way to let me in when you get inside.
Don't go adventuring without backup, especially if we think the suspect may be hiding here.
Suddenly, your entire body is paralyzed. Aggressive white noise fills your skull. A strange pain like you've never felt before. The static overcomes you. The darkness takes over as you feel yourself slipping into an unknown new state. Oh, it's death. This is the end. Cop dies under the boardwalk. An officer of the RCM, hot on the track of a suspect, died yesterday, of causes yet to be determined. I told him not to go after the suspect without me, said Lieutenant Kim Kitsuragi, the deceased partner on the case. But it seems that he wanted to play the hero. It's just like him to run straight into the lion's den, fly unzipped and arms flailing, said Satellite Officer Jean-Vic Mayer, friend and colleague of the officer. If ever I saw a man with a death wish. Two rusty metal plates that slide apart form a crude door. It's been here under the boardwalk for a while.
What do you mean, who's there? It's me, Kim. Stop playing around and help me get this door open.
The doors seem to be on rails, but they've gotten jammed. You grab a side and put some strength into prying it open. With the help of your partner, the two metal panels slide open with a creak.
Huh. I hope no one dangerous heard that. After you climbed up to the roof, you mean? There's a maintenance entrance under the boardwalk. It's next to a drain pipe, possibly a storm drain. It was easy to miss before.
He's quite proud of himself.
Yes, we have an exit, so let's get going. Time to investigate these passages.
This hat is so soft, so warm. It wraps around your head, and your mind tingles with all manner of socio-economic theory. Kraz Mazov would have worn this Yushenka. Mazov knew where to cook those thoughts. That's why it bears a Mazovian logo. Glory to the revolution, comrade. Whether you like it or not, wearing this hat has made you more communist. A mustachioed and mutton-chopped man, amateurishly depicted, gazes at you with sad eyes. A plaque reads, K. Mazov. There is a spiderweb in the lower left corner of the portrait. Years' worth of dust is shaken off. The full head of hair, matched by an ample moustache and sideburns, look a bit silly. Someone crouches, heels digging into wet sand. Hands sweep across the sand. Grains stick into the frayed skin of the fingertips. An old man sits on a slab of concrete and taps his fingers against the glass of a scope. You shudder.
Yes, I can see that. Looks like some communists were hiding out here. They left a long time ago.
The lieutenant does not seem to share your enthusiasm.
Half a century? This was probably part of the network of defense posts the communards built against the amphibious landing. I think the purpose of this bunker was to produce propaganda. It would have had radio equipment back then, but that's all been looted. We have found a lot of those lately. I guess what most people think of as history tends to linger in rundown neighborhoods. Martinez being what it is, no one has gone through the trouble of cleaning out the old bunkers.
Good hiding place for someone who's up to no good.
I won't stand in your way, but only after we're through with this case. Millions of depictions of Mazov have been produced. They're not all connected. Besides, that looked like some student. The youths always go for this kind of stuff. You mean like Ruby? No, I think we've stumbled on a piece of history.
There it is again, like a swarm of hornets buzzing under your scalp. A strange tingling you can almost smell.
No, what do you mean? I don't feel it, but we should still be careful. There were footprints back there, and I'm pretty sure they were fresh. No, but you are the sensitive one.
It's not a quib. The situation is dangerous. He trusts your gut feeling on this.
Looks like our suspect. If she's in here, we need to plan our next step carefully. Once we detain a credible suspect, who knows what the Union and the Wild Pines will do? We'll set in motion events we have no control over.
You will upset the balance of power in Martinez. The deadlock between the company and the Union will destabilize. This part of town is a fine clockwork puzzle. Disturb its peace and it will start breaking down uncontrollably. Keep calm. Go over the whole situation in detail.
Well, we are not responsible for what we can't predict, are we? I don't think the entire city will be razed to the ground.
Let's try not to worry, he thinks. If you can't predict it, there's nothing you could have done.
You think we should finish running it now? Maybe you're right. It might not be as useful later.
It's a minor point. Don't worry too much about this. There are bigger fish.
You mean Morel? I don't see how cryptozoology and the murder investigation are connected. But the situation in the city will get tense for everyone.
If it gets that tense, the amateur zoologists might not be able to do their job.
Definitely. I think she knows something. About the mercenaries, maybe. And she won't be around if the situation explodes. You're right. However corrupt he may be, nothing happens in Martinez without him knowing. We might have to dirty our hands, but...
In this case, we can't afford to be squeaky clean.
I think I see a cavern. Maybe more cellars? I think we've been careful enough. We still have the element of surprise.
I wouldn't be so sure. You haven't exactly been sneaking.
Or maybe not. Either way, once we go deeper, there will be no turning back.
Suddenly, your entire body is paralyzed. Aggressive white noise fills your skull. A strange pain, like you've never felt before. Through the static, you hear a woman's voice. It's like 1,000 radio stations are being blasted into your head all at once. But her words are the only ones you can make out.
I know you're feeling pretty uncomfortable right now. Don't move too much or fight it. That'll just make it worse. Can't say it's a pleasure, officer. I was really hoping not to make your acquaintance. But here we are.
The voice coming through the whirlwind of pain is not malicious. She doesn't want to hurt you, but she has to. Don't focus on the pain. Focus on doing your job. Tell her she's under arrest.
Really now? Check this out.
You're overwhelmed with a new surge of violent static. It feels like a blood vessel exploded in your brain.
I'm using a pale latitude compressor. You and your partner have been caught in its field.
You should probably check on Kim. That's what good partners do.
Right behind you, officer.
The torment Lieutenant Kitsuragi is experiencing is worse than your own, but he's slowly beginning to recover.
A pale latitude compressor is used to sort of make the pale more manageable. With a lot of these, you can force a radio signal grid on the pale, literally crunch the distance across it. Signals are relayed across a series of repeater stations fixed to buoys. Not a fun job manning those stations. All alone out there in the pale, people lose their minds in just a few years.
Sounds like she knew someone who used to man one of those stations. But she won't tell you about her. Boy, you're one empathetic police officer to have guessed even that right now.
So, what we are experiencing is a concentration of radio waves.
Precisely. This is an industrial strength paraboloid. It's meant for forcing dimensions on something that doesn't have them. Needless to say, the frequencies used are out of this world. At the upper limit is the large prime number generator station. It's used specifically for pale latitude compression. That's why you may be hearing some numbers. But you might also hear, or think you're hearing, local radio chatter.
She's been holed up in here for a while with no one to talk to. Keep her talking, and you just might get an opportunity to break you loose.
Yeah, I stuck my head in there before using it on you. It seemed like the ethical thing to do. Can't say that I enjoyed it. The field was weaker, but I can imagine what you're going through. No, once I shut down the compressor, the pain will end. It may take a few minutes for you to steady yourself, though. It's a bit like waking out of a very confusing dream.
3, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Omettini Vilves. Kudrog.
4464482.
The Pale? It's the end of the world. I built it myself.
And she's proud of it too, as she ought to be. This is way beyond your abilities.
That's illegal. I'm guessing it's patented. But we are beyond that, aren't we?
Oh yeah. Way beyond. Yeah, let's not talk about that shit. You were hunting me and fell into my trap instead. That's all there is to say about it.
So she thinks of you as hunters, not cops, and of herself merely as prey.
If you've got something really important to say, you can do it through the white noise.
2, 3, 6, 1, 8, 9, 2, 8, 1.
You're looking for a deal on mattress.
Speed FM.
Foxscore School 32971047302819.
Turn this.
God damn it. Fine. If you really want to talk, I can dial it down. I've also got a gun, by the way.
The gun she's carrying is a 2-barreled front loader, not like the murder weapon. Well, it doesn't feel much better, but you can form sentences now. Thinking doesn't seem to hurt as much. Just keep her talking, and you'll get through this. There's only 3 meters between you and the machine. If you keep her distracted for long enough, maybe be careful when you make your move. That'll be it for questions. Bide your time.
I heard you in the passages, and I've been preparing for quite a while. So you found my shack, huh? I'm not surprised.
Her tone is bitter. She thinks she's been betrayed.
So nice. That's one knife I didn't want to find in my back.
As opposed to the other knives she's finding there now. Hardy for one.
I was, before I caught you in the pale Latitude compressor. I'm fine now.
That's her admitting the bullet was an emergency exit. It was dark in the shack. The waves outside had calmed down. She looked at the loaded gun. Then she cracked the barrel open and took the bullet out. Not today.
No, I didn't do it. I only helped stage the lynching, though I doubt that makes much of a difference to you.
So she says she didn't do it, and she doesn't trust you. Is it you specifically, or the citizen militia that she distrusts?
Who ratted me out, by the way? Was it Titus? No, he wouldn't have broken first. Oh, well, I guess I always knew she was a survivor above all else. But she couldn't have known I was on the coast. How did you find me? Oh, fuck. Took some convincing my ass. Those guys liked me, I know it. This is what happens to people whom people like.
A dull despair is creeping into her voice.
How the fuck do the rest of you get by?
Does she mean that you're not a person whom other people like?
I did, didn't I? Now you've come for me. Fuck them all the same.
That did make her forgive them. A little.
Like what? I already told you I didn't do it.
A strong moral compass. She still wants the opportunity to make a case for herself.
No. Gifts of flowers and candy aren't really my style. So now I'm leaving revolutionary symbols around? Come on.
Was that pity? For you? She sees you're grasping for straws here.
I never did understand why, when someone dies, a hothouse's worth of flowers has to die too. No, I did not. Who doesn't? Oh, you probably mean Klaasje's rooftop. Sure, I've hung out there. She's got this great antenna. It's very powerful. I used it to tune into RCM frequencies. That's how I knew to be prepared for your arrival. The view's pretty bomb too. But you might say the antenna was the main attraction there, yeah. Along with Klaasje. Yes, I'm sure. In fact, the shot couldn't have possibly come from the roof. Otherwise, we would have heard it downstairs.
No one mentioned being in the shot. And a rifle like the one used would have been loud. She's right. I don't think the shot came from the roof.
And? The gun store, triggered Happy Jacks. What did you think? That I'm going to squeal on my gun supplier? Sorry, I'm not that kind of gal. Sure don't.
The breech loader?
No.
This is such a wipeout.
A knocked way 80 front loader. 2-barreled. Not really what you were looking for, I'm guessing.
That isn't it.
No, they're not practical. Break too often.
A doubt creeps over you. She sounds so sure of everything. So not guilty.
Yeah, evidence. Man, I was with the boys the whole night. I hope they at least bothered to impress that upon me. Yeah, and I'm sure they also made some funny remarks about it. They always do. I've driven a lot of long haul and chugged a lot of beer, man. Can't do either without some power of mind over matter. And anyway, that wouldn't have been enough time. Wow, now I'm curious. Please, explain. No, not since I was 14 and hanging out in the only diner in Dardenne. Haven't been into low-risk, no-reward games since moving to the city.
Somewhere on the outskirts of Forburg, a scrawny teenage girl stands by the side of the road, greeting passing vehicles with a callous thumb turned upward. She's tired. She wants to leave, but she knows she will come back.
Why? Don't know it, but also...
Evaluating your competence as a police officer.
The shot couldn't have come from the roof, or we would have all heard it downstairs.
She has a point there. No one mentioned.
That didn't go super well. You've got to lay something better on her.
I didn't like him. Hardened mercenaries aren't particularly likable types. Plenty of broken people who don't come with that kind of body count. Besides, they're paid well for what they do. Yeah, sure. And I didn't like Wild Pines sending in those foreign hirelings. Me and a fuck ton of other people around here.
I hate to be the bearer of bad tidings, but I don't think she's perjuring herself. She didn't hate him, okay?
I'm listening. Yeah? Where?
More questions before doing anything. Damn it. Destroy that thing already.
How should I know? As I keep saying, he already had a bullet in his head when I got to him, and there hasn't been any useful gossip over the radio.
Those rings around her eyes, her tired voice. She's been staying up late, listening in on the conversations crisscrossing Martinez.
Police radio? You've been following the case?
Who hasn't? You know, I can still see him there, in Klaasje's room, lying on his side. He was still warm, but the bluish light coming through the broken window made him look as though he'd been dead for a good long while.
Klaasje didn't want to turn the lamp on. She was afraid of another shot. She eyes you warily, as though gauging your sincerity. She's refusing to adopt the demeanor of a cornered animal, a leader with no one to lead. She still wants to retain some control of the situation.
It's okay. We just want to...
All right, don't kill yourself over it. I was shooting the shit with Hardy and the boys over a few beers, like always. Then Klaasje comes in, all pale and shuddering. She sits down with a drink, trying to steady her nerves. So I grab a seat next to her. Oh yeah, super. But I didn't think too much of it at first. I'd seen her party hard before.
This woman has seen people OD. Klaasje wasn't quite there yet, so I won't.
No, I really didn't. She's not that easy to read. I just assumed she'd done too much blow. It wouldn't be a first for her. But no such luck. She was in some deep shit. She asked me to come upstairs. The merc she'd been going with was lying on the bedroom floor, dead. I knew she couldn't get the authorities involved, so yeah.
You made it look like he'd been hanged.
What? No. Faking a lynching was her idea.
She looks shaken. She wasn't surprised to be ratted out, but framed.
Yeah, in cold blood. It really surprised me how quickly she was able to get a hold of herself once we got up there. It was like she was another person. The party girl was gone.
You can see it. Her lips, though still white, don't seem to tremble as much anymore. She moves with focus and deliberation.
She asked me to help her drag him into the shower so she could wind the shower head around his neck. To fig lividity. Then she dressed him while I went to get the Hardy boys.
Klaasje knew exactly what she was doing. You can't remain calm under pressure otherwise. She lied to you about that, too.
Yeah. I wasn't sure whether to admire her or be disturbed. As I keep telling you cops, we didn't hear anything downstairs. No gunshot, nothing.
But even if this is true, weren't you worried the lynching might lead to
War? The thought crossed my mind. But the mercenary's death was going to have repercussions either way. Although the way things are going...
She doesn't want to talk about this, but not because she has something to hide. She doesn't want the guilt.
Fuck it. I'm not responsible for these people after what they did to me.
Her grip on the gun is tight, her arms toned, her posture solid. Martinez lost a valued defender.
I saw you roll into town. I wasn't about to stick around for questioning by a goddamn La Puta Madre agent.
So this is what she was scared to tell Titus. This cop, that strange, distant fear is getting close now. It's a fear of yourself.
Yes, you. Everyone says you're his peon, his human can opener.
Oh, fucking me.
Fucking hell. And why me? You hear through the white noise. It's especially bad suddenly. Felt like a vein exploded.
Oh yes, they do. The cops, the criminals. Why do you think I'm holed up in here with a goddamn death ray waiting for me?
If she knows that about you, she must know your real name too.
Harry Dubois. One corrupt motherfucker with the disco pants and a funny tie. Agent to La Puta Madre.
So she knows your name. That doesn't mean you're on the tape. Criminals make up bogeyman stories about cops all the time. All of this just means that you're effective. Criminals know you and are scared of you. I don't know. Sounds pretty convincing to me.
Nah. That I'm not planning to shoot you is the extent of the courtesy I can extend to La Puta Madre at present.
A man in a white suit walks through a garden coaxed from soil that had once been covered in asphalt. A city block closed off from the rest of the city by dark buildings. Rows and rows of poppies, most of which have lost their pink bloom, flank his steps. The man looks around, then up at the sky, sighs. Taking out a knife, he crouches at the end of one flower bed. He scores a seapot, very gently. Milky sap begins to ooze out. The pain comes over you again.
You know what I did. I fucked him over. And now I have Harry Can Opener in my lair. Fucking Titus.
I thought we had an agreement, she thinks. This was not supposed to happen. She's not going to change her mind that easily. She still perceives you as a threat. Wait, one thing, possibly small, but she said you rolled into town. Was that you singular or plural?
Yeah, you had your death squad with you. What happened to them anyway? Sure you do. I bet they're just outside waiting. I guess I'll take my chances.
She'll go out in a hail of bullets if she has to.
Well, it wasn't this scrawny dude. You had two guys and a lady. The guys looked pretty buff. The lady wasn't bad either. One of the guys seemed chipper, a blonde. The other had a brooding something or other about him. And the woman was the only one in uniform. All were carrying. That sound about right?
No idea who these people are. Literally. Satellite Officer Whitmere looks out of the window grimly, then puts his coffee down and turns to Patrol Officer Miller. We could either take a room here in the whirling or go home for today. Let's go home, Jean. Nothing's going to happen today, she responds quietly. Jean takes his blonde wig off. Call Hideout. He can give us a ride.
Direction, lock, set.
Don't leave me here. Please delete.
Fantastic. I've got to get on the road. Then you can go find your friends. Unless you have anything pressing to ask me. What bunker? Don't know anything about it. No one's been around since I set up camp. And I'm sure I'm not the first vagabond to...
You've got to act soon. This is getting bad. Keep calm. Breathe in. After the payload seeds, it's a little clearer. You did it. The compressor lies broken on its side. It's quiet in your head again. It still hurts like hell, but...
All good, officer. Be careful.
She looks at the machine, assessing the damage. Her hand trembles.
Oh, fuck it.
If she kills herself, you'll get her gun.
Problem solving.
Ma'am, put the gun down. That's not the solution to your problems. You are...
Oh, yes it is.
She's truly desperate. She thinks she has no other options. You need to give her options. You know. This is how you talk her out of it. It's the only scenario in which she lives. She stares at you, frozen, the gun still in her mouth, eyes filled with dark intensity. Then something shifts in her. Gratitude, doubt. She's still ready to go. Her neck and shoulders relax, and her grip on the gun loosens.
Day of miracles. I'll take it.
She runs past you, then past the lieutenant, and disappears into the darkness of the tunnel.
Good call. Yeah, I'm sure. I would have done the same had I not been incapacitated.
He couldn't take it like you. It irks him. Then he gets over it.
I have a feeling we didn't. Her tent. We should check it out.
The plain red tent stands by dispassionately. It was pitched by practiced hands. She's used to camping out. The tent looks old, but well maintained. In the darkness of the tent, a rolled up sleeping bag, cooking utensils, some books, and a kerosene lamp. It reeks of cigarettes. Assorted soft covers, mostly pulp horror. A motor carriage lies buried in the snow on one cover. On another, a ghost airship. You also see a collection of radio enthusiast magazines.
See anything?
Rager Monthly, Journal of Material Science. More Technological Digest. One of the magazines doesn't have images on the cover. It's not a magazine, it's a leather notebook. You pocket the worn brown leather journal, a trusted friend left behind.
We should read this immediately, like right now.
A thick journal. The cover is worn like someone used to carry it around in their back pocket. It's made of full-grain leather. The lower left corner of the back cover sports an embossed brand name. Schneller. Schneller is a stationery brand from Gottwald, beloved among architects and engineers. She's got good taste and must have taken whatever she recorded here seriously. The journal falls open. About 2/3 of its ruled pages have been filled. The large cursive of someone who writes quickly and confidently, perhaps too confidently. Many phrases and even paragraphs have been crossed out, with tiny corrections scrawled above and in the margins. It's a mix of logistical notes, diagrams, and personal reflections, all dated.
It's good she left in a hurry. We could learn a lot from this.
That name isn't mentioned as far as you can tell. Small wonder. Would you talk about La Puta Madre in your journal? You do see an M though. La Puta Madre? M is mentioned on March 9th and March 15th. Great. M's peon is coming to town, no doubt to investigate the lynching. But also, I feel it in my gut to finally put a bullet in my head while I'm napping in my lorry or on a smoke break. Well, I won't stick around just to twist my own neck by constantly looking over my shoulder. Then again, isn't that what I've been doing ever since I got the call? The call? Did M call her personally? Why? Were you supposed to find her? Even apart from the investigation then? On M's request? No, you wouldn't do something like this. This must be a mistake. You didn't follow through. You should have shot her in the head. Too late to do that now. Asesino grande. Better start looking over your shoulder now. Been holed up here for 3 days now. I'm used to being alone and all, but I don't know when I'll be able to leave, or if I'll be ratted out. They will rat me out, of course. I've made it a point to believe in the best in people, the boys, for example. But experience tells me, did M feel truly betrayed by me? I was feeling threatened. He'd have to know if he threatened people, they'd take measures to protect themselves. Even I know that. Economic measures first of all. Gotta make a living, right? I can still hear his voice in the receiver. Taste the plastic. The entry ends abruptly. That must have been one hell of a conversation. Hard to tell exactly. It's mostly noted down in code. Looks like contact information, quantities, directions.
There could be useful information about local operations in those notes. We have a junior sergeant at my station who's good with codes. I can give this to her after we finish this.
Esoteric radio technology. The most recent ones probably pertain to the Latitude compressor, sketches, calculations of distance and density. You make out a familiar spiral shape, short R.I observations of people and places, probably a way to pass the time on the road. Also, what appears to be attempts to sort through some difficult decisions. There are a few passages with many questions in them. The way some of those question marks trail off into ellipsis, she was going through a tough time. Staff issues, always tough on the leadership. You smell traces of betrayal. The first entry is from August 2nd of last year. It reads simply, I know my position is precarious. All I can do is make myself as useful as I can while looking for a way out. Remember, no one is indispensable. Nothing on March 4th. March 5th, though, well, that's bound to come back and bite me in the ass. I'm bad at this. Loyal to a fault. But that's another matter entirely. She is referring to betraying her previous employer. Does this suggest she did it in self-defense? The most recent entry is from today. It reads, even when I leave here, if I leave here alive, what's my next move? Staging a lynching is a crime, even if I'm not accused of murder on top of that. Forever on the run. Not really my idea of the open road. Man, I was really looking forward to winning.
It looks like she might have been framed.
That would be a first, or a fourth. But who's counting, he thinks. Very rarely does anyone actually get framed.
No, I don't think you are. Ask someone in your precinct if you want to be sure. The head of a major Jamrock gang, specializing in drug production and trafficking. A very bad person.
He's not 100% sure you're not indebted to this very, very bad person.
I wouldn't go so far as to say that. We have other reasons to arrest her. Besides, I'm not sure her life as a fugitive is going to be much better than we does. Especially if she has problems with the Madre. Could have been Titus. Then again... Maybe there's a hardy boy we've yet to meet who acted as his accomplice. Either way, we need to keep an eye on him. One thing is for certain. We have business back in the whirling and rags. Questions to ask. We should get to it.
Something tells you you should be extra careful from now on. Suddenly, your entire body is paralyzed. It's like a...
I know your feel can't say it.
The voice don't focus on the pain. The trauma.
I'm using a
You should probably check on Kim.
pale light signals are
Sounds like
so precisely at the upper limit.
she's been holed up in here for...
You're big bull. Goddamn fine.
The gun she... Well, just keep her... There's only... Be careful when you make your move. That'll be it for for questions. Bide your time.
Glad to have been of assistance. Best of luck to you, officers. Revachal's a bitch.
The woman runs past you and disappears into the darkness of the tunnel.
All things considered, it could have gone worse. No, I don't think she did it. She's someone else's case now.
It's too late now, anyway. She's gone.
Now we have to come up with a really good excuse for why we walked right into a trap like that. This isn't going to look good in the report. Her tent. Maybe there's something in there.
Suddenly, your entire body is like a...
I know you're feeling can't say...
The voice don't focus on the pain.
I'm using a...
You should probably check on...
Right behind...
A pit signal...
Sounds...
So, precise at the...
She's been holed up in here for a while, you know what?
Yeah...
So she thinks of you...
Yeah, no. I built...
And she...
That's... Oh yeah, the pail? It's the end of the war... If you've got... God, fine.
The gun? Well, just keep this out. Be careful when you make your move. That'll be it for questions. Bide your time. You did it. The compressor lies broken on its side. It's quiet in your head again. It still hurts like hell, but... She looks at the machine, assessing the damage. Her hand trembles.
Oh, fuck it.
If she kills herself, you'll get her gun. She pulls the trigger. Before you finish your sentence, you watch as her brains trickle out through her neon hair.
Detective, control your emotions. We did our job. This won't be the worst thing that happens to us on this case. Believe me, you can't let this break you. We are cops. Everything is our fault if we let it be.
Despite his words, the lieutenant's barely keeping his composure. Don't make it any harder.
Our job. It went really bad, and now we need to clean it up.
She died. How can he be so cold? This is the right thing to do. Clean up, keep a cool head.
Fuck!
Get a hold of yourself. He needs your support now, too.
Okay, you said it. You needed to say it. Now it's been said. We need to clean up.
You're going to need an ocean of booze to drown this out. Police officer responsible for suicide of suspect renounces the RCM. Today, Officer Harriet Dubois, formerly a lieutenant of the Citizens Militia of Revachol, gives a candid interview in which he renounces the militia, his years of service, most of which he doesn't remember, and his own actions on the force. I'm no longer a cop. I wish I never was. No one should be, says Dubois, who has fallen on hard times after resigning. Fuck the RCM. Fuck duty. He adds. Continues on page 4. Suddenly, your entire body is like a...
I know you're feeling can't say...
Don't...
Right behind you.
Signal... So, priest at the pail? It's the end of the world. Yeah.
So she thinks of you as hunters.
If you've... God, fine.
The gun... Well, just keep this out. Be careful when you make your move. That'll be it for questions. Bide your time. The compressor lies broken on its side. It's quiet in your head again. It still hurts like hell. But she looks at the machine, assessing the damage. Her hand trembles.
Oh, fuck it.
If she kills herself, you'll get her gun. She pulls the trigger. Before you finish your sentence, you watch as her brains trickle out through her neon hair.
We clean up. It may take days for processing to pick up her body. We need to move it somewhere. That tent there.
For when you make your move.
No.
So she said...
Who ratted me out, by the way? Was it Titus? No. He wouldn't have broken first. Oh. Well, I guess I always knew she was a survivor above all else. But she couldn't have known I was on the coast. How did you... Oh, fuck.
$8.
How the fuck...
Does she mean that you're not a person who...
I did.
That did make her forgive them. A little.
What shit?
A strong moral compass. She still wants the opportunity to make a case for herself.
I considered her a good friend, yeah. I'm not following your clever insinuations, Detective. If I want to stare at a pretty girl, I can pick one up at a bar. Or, worst case scenario, look at a naughty photo. Who has time to go skulking about the whirling, drilling holes in walls? Nope. Look, she has an effect on people. That je ne sais quoi that makes it impossible not to look at her when she walks into the room, and very difficult to look away. But travel enough and you realize, for the same reason that she's everyone's type as an object of desire, she's not irreplaceable.
Right on. Wrong. That kind of pussy is never replaceable.
What the hell, man? Yeah, why not? I've gotten worse.
Her hand slipped from the dial of the compressor for a moment, almost turning it down. Then she put her hand back. Not yet.
Oh, so that's where you were going with this. That's a very sentimental way of putting it. We both had pasts we didn't want to catch up with us, and we enjoyed listening to music together. Why not go on a road trip?
The lieutenant watches her expectantly, occasionally shaking from the pain.
Okay, fine. I was into her. Klaasje was into me too for a time, I know it. We even fooled around once. And yeah, after that I thought maybe we could make a go of it.
Klaasje only said they maybe kissed. Someone is lying here. She touched that radiant beauty, that silver wellspring of desire.
If that's what she wants on the record, so be it. I'm not about to go into details for you to jerk off to later.
Seriously, just move on.
Really?
Is that blood on the ground before you? Are your ears bleeding?
Yeah, really? She rejected me with some wishy-washy bullshit about how she was confused because she felt so close to me and valued my friendship so much, and how guilty she felt for leading me on. I knew that wasn't the whole story, but thought, fine, I'll take it and move on.
No ill will there. It wasn't a problem for her.
Yeah, the girl seemed terrified. The merc was beyond caring what happened to his mortal coil. It was a no-brainer. Yeah, one time when we'd both been drinking, I said some heated things about how dangerous her patterns with men were. I was a little worried she'd blow it out of proportion in her head. All the drugs she was doing can make you feel like you're living in a DeLorean tragedy.
By the way, DeLorean tragedies are still held in high regard for innovation in language and motifs. They are also known for overwrought emotions leading to catastrophic outcomes.
Go ahead. It's your body.
And mine too, he thinks. But keep on. This must be done. Suddenly, your entire body will make your move. That'll be it for questions. Bide your time. The violet-white noise becomes even more overwhelming closer to the compressor. Feels like your brain is swelling up in your skull.
Officer, are you okay?
The white noise turns into a wall of mist and grey mold, bubbling, sweeping over the city. It tears up buildings and raises sidewalks into the sky. It's Revershaw, at the end of the world. And it hasn't even really started yet. Nothing. Just slow disappearance. You look at a tree or a coal shed, then look away, and turning back, the shed will be gone. And you won't even remember that the tree was ever there, much less what kind of tree it was. Pine or a birch. You won't remember if a man had been hanging from it. Yes, but even in this anguish you can't see its precise shape. It's unimaginable, for a reason. The same thing that happens to all humans. You will become vapor, dissolve into frequencies. Then those frequencies will be forgotten. The visions compete for space in your brain, with the hailstorm of radio signals coming from the compressor. You feel like your skull is about to shatter into smithereens. Fragments on bone scattering, like your thoughts at this moment. Sticking now to forebodings, now to a strangely familiar voice.
He's in danger, stop the...
Completely lost his mind, or...
Prenatal vitamins, because no child is a blank slate. 526287889.
Shameless arsehole.
Officer, what are you doing? You...
Proximity to the Pale Compressor is overloading his mind. He'll be okay once it's off, though.
875263218367. Special someone.
Look, I know this isn't very fun for you, so let's wrap this up. You have a tribunal to attend.
Tribunal? What tribunal?
I heard you in the passages, and I've been preparing for quite a while.
More questions before...
Glad to have been of
The woman runs past you and disappears into the darkness of the tunnel.
All things considered, that could have gone worse. Now we have to come up with a really good excuse for why we walked right into a trap like that. This isn't going to look good in the report. Her tent. Maybe there's something in there.
If she kills herself, you'll get her gun. You should know the words to say. You've been here yourself, so why is it not coming to you? Because you've been going around pointing a gun at yourself, trying to answer the same question in vain. Her finger squeezes the trigger now. No, wait. Finally, it comes to you. A way to connect with her. She flashes you an incredulous grin. Then she exhales sharply, shakes her head, and pulls the trigger. You watch as her brains trickle out through her neon hair.
Fuck.
Get a hold of yourself. He needs your support now, too.
Okay, you said it. You needed to say it. Now it's been said. We need to clean up.
You're going to need an ocean of booze to drown this out. Police officer responsible for suicide of suspect renounces the RCM. Today, Officer Harriet Dubois, formerly a lieutenant of the Citizens Militia of Revachol, gives a candid interview in which he renounces the militia, his years of service, most of which he doesn't remember, and his own actions on the force. I'm no longer a cop. I wish I never was. No one should be, says Dubois, who has fallen on hard times after resigning. Fuck the RCM. Fuck duty. He adds, continues on page 4.